Hey guys, thanks for checking out the Bucked Up Podcast. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like and subscribe button, we have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday. Let's get into it.
It was at this moment that he knew.
He bucked up.
Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you have fucked up.
Yeah, that the third eye thing. That's why I'm honored to talk to you, is because that's a real thing for me, and that's when I first got connected to your artwork.
Yeah, dude. No, that's a good story that comes from, and then it just flourished into something that I couldn't even imagine. So
What was the story behind it?
are we already starting?
Yeah, we'll start whatever.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, so end of 2016, early 2017, I wanted to paint a portrait of Tupac because I had just dropped out of college a year before that, and I started painting. I wasn't painting in college. I was going to UNLV for
You weren't painting at all?
No, dude, I was only doing pencil portraits. So I was going to UNLV for a couple of years, and I dropped out cold turkey. And then I decided, fuck it, I'm going to start painting. I'm going to just start painting. So I picked up brushes, and then I painted every single day for a whole year. And then on my second, the start of my second year, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty good now. So I think I want to paint a portrait of Pac. But I was like, I don't want to just paint a fucking portrait that looks like everything else that everybody has done. So I was like, how could I do something that's a little different? And how could I do something that the viewer would automatically register, like, oh, he's talking about his perspective, his mind. And I was like, the first thing that came to mind was a third eye. And I was like, no, I don't know if that's going to work right away. And I went ahead and did it anyway. And dude, people went crazy over it. They were just like, a portrait of Tupac with a third eye. I guess no one had seen it before. I don't know if it had ever.
Well, we
existed.
just saw the original piece, and it's very striking too. It's not like, oh, you just painted another eye on Tupac.
I don't know. I hadn't seen a portrait of Tupac with a third eye before, so I don't know if that was a thing. And I was certainly not copying.
And
nobody.
You weren't painting third eyes, but three eyes before that.
Well, I remember as a kid, I used to draw stuff portraits, and I used to have sketchbooks from when I was 10, and I remember distinctively drawing characters with third eyes. But didn't
Do you know why?
I don't know why. Actually, I don't. It was a subconscious. It must have been a subconscious thing, and I had no reason to do it then. But as I got older and I started to create work based off concept and actually have a backstory behind shit, for me, the third eye was just all about, it is what it is. It's enlightenment. It's a perspective. It's I wanted to paint portraits of people that I felt were enlightened. I felt that were just their mind was beyond their years. And as a musician myself and as a writer, I've always been a fan of Pac. I grew up on Pac as a kid, you know what I mean? But even beyond his music, I remember when I was 17, I saw an interview of Pac when he was 17, and it blew my mind because I never had felt like I related to another 17-year-old before because of the way he talked. I could never get along with kids my age. So I was so blown away with him, and I was infatuated with him. I was just I felt like Jada for a second. I was infatuated with a dead man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was this guy is so incredible.
He was enlightened.
He was so incredible. He was so beyond his years for his age. And I was admired Pac so much. Just for the way he was as a person, not even as, because he's got so much music. I haven't heard it all. He's got so much music out. It's crazy. And it's too much to remember, but I've watched so many fucking interviews with it, of him on YouTube and shit. And I was just as a kid, just sitting there binge watching interviews and just watching him talk, back when he was locked up, watching that interview. It's just crazy the way he talked. So when I was doing that portrait, I wanted to do something that was what people saw as oh, dude, this is Pac. None of that fucking I didn't want to put shit in the background. It's just a black, you saw it. Like, it's just a black background. There's nothing else. It's just his face. So
no body, just the chain.
Yeah, it's just this. Well, you know what? This is so the idea behind the face and the black background was I wanted it to look reminiscent of. Do you remember the mirror from like Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
I think it was Sleeping Beauty. The mask. Remember, when Maleficent is talking like mirror, mirror on the wall. The mask looked like it was floating in the center. I wanted it to look like he was floating.
Okay.
So when you looked at it under like low light, it just looked like his face was floating in the center of this like
when
painting.
You did that piece because it was on an anniversary. Were you doing it as something special?
Well, I wasn't. I was looking at as it like the way I approached it was I felt worthy. Like my skill in painting got good enough that I could do a worthy portrait of him. So that's why I painted it. It was like I finally felt like, okay, I could do a portrait of him and execute it the way I need to. And I did it. And then my homies who grew up with Diddy's kids hit me up and they were like, yo, you should do a portrait of Biggie so we can move it to Puff. So I'd like the next week I did a portrait of Biggie, the same shit, like black background with the third eye. And then I did that OG portrait. I forget the photographer who shot that shot, but it was, I think it was for The Source where he's wearing the crown. Mm-hmm. So I painted that portrait with the third eye and that piece ended up at Diddy's house. So Diddy has that painting.
And those are your first two. Like,
those were the first two that began this whole like journey. And then I started building a body of work behind it to do a solo show. And
I want to hear about that, but I want to know why you just started painting off the bat out of the blue.
You know what? It's funny because, we talked about it earlier. I've never done psychedelics. I've never done anything like that. So I really, truly believe that it just was like fated. It was just happened. Like it just came to me. Yeah.
Day. Do you remember the day it came to you that you were like, I'm going to start painting?
I started the Tupac portrait at the end.
But you had been painting for a year before that.
But I was painting like random shit, dude.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. When did you start? Like, what made you? Because you said you didn't paint it all before one day you were like,
dude, I was halfway through the portrait with Pac before I decided to do the third eye. I painted the third eye last. It was like mid portrait that I was like, okay, I can't just do a portrait of him. Like,
but
just
what made you go from pencil drawing to painting?
Oh, to the transition to painting was because by the time I was 18, I was already drawing to the point where like my work looked a lot like my dad's. So whenever we would exhibit our work together in galleries, nobody would ever know it was my shit. They would see my work and be like, oh, it's Antonio's work. And I used to hate that. Like I resented that a lot because I was like, nah, dude, like I got like, it's my shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like living in my dad's shadow. And and in hindsight, there was nothing wrong with that. I just realized that's just not what I wanted. So I was like, fuck it. I'll be a painter instead of a pencil drawer. Because my dad is strictly pencil. He doesn't paint. You know what I mean? I've even in recent years tried to teach him how to paint. So I said, fuck it. I'll stand out by being a painter. You know what I mean? So then I became a painter and I don't even draw anymore, dude. I barely draw. The only time I draw is when I'm sketching out my what I'm going to paint on the canvas.
Do you remember what the first thing you ever painted was?
Yeah, dude, I painted a portrait of, actually, I think I have it. I'll show you. I painted a portrait of this woman it was like a photo shoot. It was like, look, dude, in 2016, look at this shit. That was the first thing I ever painted. That was my first attempt at oil painting. Yeah.
That's
cool. I don't know if you want to show it to the camera, but in 2016, yeah. I dropped out of college and
why'd you drop out of college?
Yeah. So I painted that and I got the reference from it was a model that was on America's Next Top Model, and they did a photo shoot and they like face painted every model, and I got that reference from that.
Why'd you drop out of college?
I'll tell you why I went is more interesting. I went to please my ex's parents. When I got in a relationship with my ex, they were like, you know, who the fuck is this?
The one you were talking about before?
Yeah, I moved to Vegas to go be with her, and when was around her parents, they were like, yo, like what are your goals? And I was like, oh, I want to be an artist. That's what I plan to do. And they didn't take that shit serious because they're like super like traditional, like go to school, get a good job, you get a good education, you get a good salary type shit. Like they're both retired cops. Like they went by the book, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I was just more like, I just went with the fucking flow, So they weren't feeling that. And they were like, well, why don't you go to school or get a job? So I ended up getting both. I ended up enrolling and getting into UNLV on my own. And then I got a job at the same time. And then
what was the job?
I think I started working at Steve Madden. That was like the first job I got when I was out there. I was working at Steve Madden, and then I quit that job to work at another job. I got a job at Guess. I got a job at Bass Pro. I think I worked at Kohl's.
I would love to see you working at
Bass Pro, dude, and I love Bass Pro, dude. Bass Pro is so dope. Yeah, hey, where can I find the bow and arrows? Oh, down that way. I need a canoe down that way. Yeah, dude. So I was working at Bass Pro for 2 weeks, and then I left. I worked at Kohl's for like a month. I worked at Guess for like 3 months. It was like a seasonal job, and then I got a job doing maintenance at a dance studio that my ex was working at. So that's yeah, dude. That was like my whole Vegas.
I'm sorry to be rude doing that shit. I was just making.
No, you're fine. Yeah, dude. You do what you got to do. So it was really funny. It was a funny experience because I was like working these random jobs. I did like But
you wanted to be an artist back then.
Oh, well, dude, I was always an artist. Yeah, I was an artist since I was a kid.
All right. But when you said like I had never painted before.
Well, I had been selling my drawings since I was 10.
Okay. All right.
So I was an artist. Like dude, the first time I've ever exhibited my work, I was 10 years old. It was a county art contest in Riverside. I was 10, like 10 or 11. And I submitted my work. And I like won like first place out of like 160 kids throughout the entire county. And that was my first time I showed my work in a gallery, and I sold my drawing there. I sold it there. And then ever since then, like I'd been exhibiting my work in shows that maybe my dad had put together, and I'd always sold my work. So like I was like selling drawings. I was doing commissions. I mean, dude, I remember when I was like 6 or 7, I would draw the covers of Disney films. Like Pinocchio, I would draw like Aladdin and fucking Pocahontas and shit. And I would sell my drawings for like $10-15 to my aunts and uncles that would come visit.
Then what was different about that Tupac piece?
I think it was something that I felt like, okay, I've seen a lot of portraits of Pac. I've seen a lot of portraits of these, these icons. And I didn't want to just create a portrait of Tupac and people didn't really like feel something behind it. You know what I mean? Like when I paint portraits, I don't like, and it's going to sound mad fucking cliche or whatever, but like, I really try to like capture who I'm painting. Like when I painted that portrait, the whole time I was painting it, I had my headphones in and I was listening to like interviews of Pac. So I was trying to like engulf my life.
Not even his music.
Not even his music. I was just listening to him talk like in interviews and like documentaries about him. And I was just trying to like, who is like trying to capture this fucking person, So I think that's probably why people feel something when they look at it. You know what I mean?
You created it, did you know it was a monumental shift?
Not really. No, it wasn't until that I started to it didn't get it got some praise right away, but it kind of went stagnant. And then all of a sudden a bunch of like Instagram pages were like reposting it. Like I said, Hip Hop DX had posted it on their Instagram page.
And that's when and
that's how Westside Gunn found me. She saw that post and reached out to me via Instagram. And dude, this was mid 2017. This was before Westside was verified. This is when he had like 40,000, 50,000 followers, like brand new. But what was crazy is that I knew of who he was because I saw the article of him and Conway signing to Shady. And I was like, who the fuck are these guys? Right. So I listened to their music and I think I heard one of the Hitler albums and I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, dude, these guys sound like Wu-Tang or something. I was like blown away. I was like, this sounds like I was a really big fan of Slaughterhouse when they came out, like Royce the 5'9" and Joe Budden. Like I fucked with them so hard, dude. Like Joel Ortiz. Like I really love those guys. Like that group was like, I really was like rooting for that group, especially when I saw that BET Cypher, that Shady 2.0 Cypher. I was like, dude, these guys are insane. Like, I don't know how many times I've written to that instrumental, to that Cypher. Yeah, it was crazy. So when these guys came out, I was like, oh shit, like Eminem's doing something crazy by like working with like guys like that sound like straight 90s rappers, but like not even 90. It was like newer than 90s, but it was reminiscent of it. They were just grimy. That was the best word I could think of. And it's funny because like they that's how they refer to their shit as just grimy. So I knew who Wes and Conway was. And then just a couple months later, he reached out to me via Instagram. And I was like, dude, I just read about you. Like, what the fuck? And originally he didn't ask me about the Blind Tell album. He DM'd me and he goes, hey dude, I just bought a new crib and I want to fill it up with some artwork. She's like, I love your shit. What do you have available for how much? So I sent him what I had in my inventory. And at the time it was all shit. And it was like, whatever, like prices, like bunk shit. It was just whack. It was all whack.
Do you remember what the first piece you sold to him was and how much you sold it for?
Well, yeah, it was the commission, the Blind Tell, the Benoit piece. He hit me up. So he hit me up like
the
I think
Benoit
like
piece.
It was the Benoit. That was the first painting I did for him. So he didn't buy anything off me. He like I sent him what I had in my inventory and he was like, yeah, like I'll think about it. Cause like I said, everything that I was doing prior to that was whack, other than like the third eye portraits. So he hit me up in like January of 2018. Like it was like a couple months past. And then he goes, hey, I'm working on an album. I want you to do a cover for it. And I was like, okay, what do you have in mind? And he was like, the album's going to be called Supreme Blind Tell, and I want to do a portrait of Chris Benoit. And what the craziest fucking thing is, my uncles grew up watching WWE like really heavily when I was a kid, like little, like they were, dude, they had action figures and fucking pillows. Like I can't even tell you how big of fans they were of like wrestling. And when he asked me to do a portrait of Chris Benoit, dude, the crippler crossface was the only move that I knew how to do on my uncles when I was a kid. Dude, that's Benoit's signature move.
Yeah.
So I told my uncles about that, and they're like, dude, that's fucking crazy. Dude, when I was like 6, doing the crippler crossface on my uncle's friends. So it was like really weird. And I don't think I've ever really sat and talked to him about that, but it was just like really fucking bizarre, dude. So he was like, I want to use your third eye concept. And I said, okay, like that'd be cool. But I didn't realize the controversy behind it because I didn't really know anything about Benoit's like backstory.
Because I wanted to ask you, because earlier you said you did the third eye to show you wanted to do enlightened people,
right? But Westside saw it as just like some raw shit. He just thought it was raw shit.
Yeah. But it is funny now. The Benoit's the first one you did for
that
him.
Is the first one, and then
it is enlightened in the same way that we were talking to AA, and it's about your piece of the Black Hitler. Like,
well, that one became even more, like that put like a temporary dent in like my whole like career when Westside hit me, the Hitler piece. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because my whole thing was I was pushing the whole enlightened concept, and it was like praising people of like good deed. You know what I mean? Like I was praising good people. I was praising people in general. So when Westside hit me up, dude, at like 3 a.m, and he was like, and he always hits me up with peace. He just texts me, peace, God, peace, Lord. And I'm like, what? I was like, what's up, Wes? What? And I was like, it's like 3 a.m. He was like, he's like, I need a painting. I was like, okay, what's up? And he was like, so I'm working on, he's like, I'm doing another Hitler joint. He's like, I want a black Hitler with the third eye. And I was like, at first I was excited because I was like, all right, cool. Like, what we doing next? And he was like, it was like my second thing that I was doing for him. So
it was Benoit, then
to Hitler. Yeah, it was funny because I had so much praise for
wild,
the first
right?
one. Yeah, and I was so excited to do a second one because of how much people loved the first one we did.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, I want a Hitler with a black Hitler. And I didn't understand that right away. And I was like, well, I was like, look, dude, I like my whole mood changed. I tried to explain it to him. I was like, look, dude, I don't know if people are really going to fuck with that on my end. Like, you know, the whole third eye thing for me is like, it's a good thing. I don't want people to think that I'm like praising Hitler. And then he like further explained it. And then I started listening to like the albums, like all the mixtapes in order. And I was just like, you know what? I'm like, I realized that he's not like, it's not like he's praising Hitler. It's his spin on the Devil Wears Prada. Like, it's just some grimy shit. Like it's just shock value. So I was like, you know what? I tried to convince him. I was like, what if we did like a bullet hole for the third eye or some shit, so people wouldn't like fully think. And he was like, nah, I want the third eye. And I was like, okay. So
he came to you with Black Hitler, not just
he
Hitler.
straight up said, I want Black Hitler. So what I did was I used Martin Luther King as a reference first, and then he was like, no, I just want Hitler with black skin. So I was like, oh. So you want like Hitler in blackface? I was like, damn, dude. I was like, I don't know. I was like, all right, dude. I'm like, what am I going to tell him? No, you know what I mean? I was like 18, 19 at the time. So I was like,
wait, you were 18
or like not yet.
How
like
old 19, are you right
20.
now?
I'm 25.
Okay.
So I've known Wes going on 5 years now. So it's like
I'm 24.
Are you really 24?
Yeah, I look like shit.
Bro, you're fucking tall as shit. What the fuck were you eating as an infant?
I ate a lot.
Yeah, hell yeah, you ate a lot. Jesus Christ, dude. You're fucking feasting as a baby. Damn. Give me some of what you got, dude. I'm short as I'm barely 5'9", dude.
I look like fucking Will Ferrell at fucking.
That's cool, dude. Dude, bitches love height, dude. Yeah, when I talk to
like you were just partying with bitches on the beach.
But
nah,
those are Hispanic girls, dude. They're like 4'11". They come short, dude.
You can't.
Height is power, dude. Height is a luxury.
My humor is way better than my height.
I would height, yeah, that's cool too. But like that's not like short people. We gotta have personality because we got. I'm like, you know, my personality is like 6'5". You know, I'm like,
I'll fucking cancel this podcast right now.
Dude, height.
You
wish
had like 30 bitches twerking on you.
Yeah, again, they're all like 4'11".
Your personality.
They're all like borderline dwarves.
They all loved your personality.
Yeah, they saw the chains and they're like, okay, I'll see what's up. I'll come to homeboy's table. I'm like, yeah, dude, I wish. But
back to you being 18.
Yeah, so I was like, I just didn't know. I was like, I tried to convince him. He was like, nah, I want to do the third eye. And I was like, okay, you know, all right. So I was like, you know what? I started looking at the concept. I was like, damn, dude, a black Hitler. I'm like, let's take a person who was extremely controversial in his entire, you know, his whole motive, and let's make him the most opposite thing, in which he didn't like what was opposite of him, but it was him. Like, he was fucking dark. He wasn't blonde haired and blue eyed. You know what I mean? So I was like,
Jewish,
let's make him black. So I thought that was kind of a pretty profound concept in a way. So I was like, fuck it. You know what? I'll run with it. And when people ask me, I'll have something to say about it. You know what I mean? So I painted it. And then, dude, when I put it out, when he put it out, I think DJ Booth posted how much Westside paid me for it. And then like the whole Jewish community like shunned me for it. Dude, I had like a hate mail. I had people coming at me like, why don't you donate that money to the Jew? I'm like, dude, I'm fucking Hispanic and broke living in LA. Like, this is the most money I've ever seen ever at once. You know what I'm saying? I'm like eating top ramen on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Like, so like, what do you mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was just, I was getting like, dude, I had people talking shit about like my mom and dad. And then one person in particular, I'm not going to say his name because he doesn't deserve no fucking clout, you know? but he ended up like he was an art collector and a dealer, and he ended up like putting it out there and turning a lot of friends that I had in the art community against me. And it just was, dude, it was bad. It was like for like 6 months, I had like hate mail on a daily basis. And I told Wes, I was like, dude, I'm getting a lot of flack for this. Like, I'm getting a lot of heat. Like people are not like fucking with me for doing this. And nobody was telling him shit, dude. Like nobody, like my mom was talking to Wes, was like, Wes, I need you to say something because my son is like dealing with some shit. And I was like, dude, like people were like trying to like pull up on me and shit. And it's funny because like no one really knows, like I don't go around telling people where I come from and like where my family's from, but it got for me, it got real fucking quick. And for this dude to like threaten me the way he was, I was like, bro, you keep it about the fucking art, but if you're gonna talk that shit, we can run that. I was like, if you really want to run that, I'm like, we'll play that game. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you don't fucking know me like that, especially my motherfucking family.
Why do you think people are coming for you and not him?
Well, who the fuck is going to tell Wes anything? You know what I'm saying? Like Wes is.
And why do you think people are ignorant on they can't see past just what it is at face value?
Well, I'll tell you, it was definitely just the Jewish community that was upset with me. You know, I had a lot of artist friends that are part Jewish, and they were like, dude, to this day, they talk shit about it. And I'm like, dude, why don't you listen to the albums and like listen to interviews? And like Wes explains the whole shit behind it. It's not like he's fucking praising Hitler. It's not like he's out there. He doesn't even mention Hitler once in any of those albums. Like it's just the title.
Yeah. Do you regret it?
No, because I think that it was a very daring thing and on my end to create artwork that really had an effect on people. Because artwork is, whether it makes you feel good or bad, if it makes you feel something, it's got power to it. So, and I appreciate power, but I know that there was nothing negative behind it. It's just art. There's an artist, I forget his name. My dad would know his name, but a really famous artist that actually did portraits of Hitler, and it's like in museums and shit. Like it's like a really successful artist, and I don't think anybody told him shit. And it's funny because one of my mentors is Shepard Fairey.
Oh wow,
yeah. So Shepard's one of my mentors, and I email him a lot. We talk, and I always reach out to him for advice. And during this time, I told him, I said, hey, I'm getting a lot of flack for this. What's your advice for it? And he was like, and he told me pretty much in a nutshell, he was like, look, dude, people are always going to find a reason to talk shit about you. When he first put out the Andre Has a Posse sticker, people were like literally telling him that it was like Illuminati shit. Oh, someone said it, called it Nazi shit. And he was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like not even true at all. Like people are just gonna make up their own shit for it, and then people are so retarded that they're just gonna fight for what they believe in. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so,
I do. I feel that heavy, and I actually needed to hear that because like when people like shit on what I'm doing, it's like, oh, you don't really know, so why should I even care?
Yeah. So I just stopped. I just started ignoring people's like messages about it, and like when anybody brings it up, I just laugh because it's just. It's so stupid. In the past. It's I'm like, dude.
And it's also like you can't. People make like movies about bad shit. Like,
I'm like, no, I'm like, what do you need?
Ignorance.
Yeah, what do you need to damn Brad Pitt for acting in Inglourious Bastards? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you gonna damn, any of those actors for being in there? You're gonna what was that was a Jojo Rabbit film? Yeah, like it's you know what I'm saying. So it's like,
but you still feel like you get some.
It doesn't come up as often as it used to, but when people do bring it up, they do bring it up. But obviously, like when it's like Westside's fan base, they love that shit because they know they know they absolutely know. So they love it. You know, I see people.
And if you know, you like just open like.
Yeah, I'm like, just listen to one of the fucking albums. Yeah. Like, just listen to one of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? It'll change your whole fucking mood about it. It's crazy. People, I don't know. People are just crazy. But you know what's funny is that Hitler wanted to be an artist when he was a kid. His parents stole that dream from him. He wanted to be an artist, dude. And he used to draw and shit when he was like 7, 8, or 9. Yeah, I don't know the exact details, but I just know that he wanted to be an artist. Yeah, that was his dream. Yeah, wild, right?
That is wild. How did Shepard Fairey become one of your mentors? That's wild. I had no idea about that.
Well, Shepard and I have had crossed paths over the years. We had a mutual friend. The first time that I met him in person, we have a mutual friend. His name is Richard Eduardo, who's pretty much like the Andy Warhol on the West Coast. He's a master screen printer, and he did a lot of screen printing for Shepard, Banksy. You know, I mean, like really big heavy hitters, Retina, all those dudes from like the start of the street art movement. And he's an OG, like he's in history books. And he was working with my dad since I was a kid. And when he passed away in like 2000, I think like 2013, 2014, I met Shepard at his funeral, like formally. I'd always been, Shepard was one of my idols as a kid growing up, but I met him formally at the funeral briefly. And then like, we would just cross paths more and more. Like if he was painting a mural and I happened to be passing by, if, you know, his team was like putting up, you know, something and, you know, and I just happened to pass by. And then it wasn't up until I was in a group show in 2018 where I was exhibiting a portrait I did of Bob Marley in pencil. This was an old portrait that I did. I was already painting, but it was a benefit for one of my really close friends, Abby Berman. She has a art foundation called Adopt the Arts, and they help raise money for like art programs in elementary schools and stuff. And Shepard is on the board of the members on that. And the show was a benefit for that. Like some of the proceeds went to the foundation. So when I was exhibiting there, it was my first time exhibiting with Shepard side by side. And he came up to me and was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, his wife's name's Amanda." He goes, "Amanda and I loved your portrait so much that we bought it." And I was like in disbelief. I was like, "You what?" He was like, "We bought it." And I was like, "What do you mean you bought it?" And he was like, "We bought it. Like, I don't understand what you don't understand." And I was like, I almost started crying right there because I was like, dude, one of my idols just collected one of my works. I was like, I felt like Basquiat when Warhol bought one of his like postcards. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, that's crazy. I was like, why? You know what I'm saying? And he was just like, and he explained to me too. He was like, you know, he pulled me aside and he goes, "I was never really a fan of pencil work, especially like realism, because he's like a graphic artist. Like his stuff is beyond like his whole process is crazy. You know, it's so unique. Yeah. So he's like beyond the traditional like making of art, even though that like that's like the foundation. But he was like, your work stands out so much. And here, I'll even show you the portrait that I did, because he told me that it reminded him of when this is the portrait that he did.
Oh wow.
So he told me that it reminded him of the first time that someone tried like ripping off one of his posters, and then he took a photograph of that and then reposted that as a new poster. And it was kind of like, oh, Andre the Giant is still here in a new form. It's like, oh, you can't tear me down. You can't like take me away. Like, I'm back in a new form.
I hope this isn't an ignorant question, but why do you do the cutouts of the face?
Well, that was
because the first one you showed us
also had that. Yeah. So that was a series of work that I created called Broken Beauty. And it was a series that became my first solo show when I was like 18 and like 17, 18. And the concept behind that was I was dealing with a lot of like self-conscious issues. And I was like, all the women in my family seem to be like really self-conscious and have a lot of like internal things. And I was thinking about my mom, like constantly like being self-conscious of how she looked and all this stuff. And I was playing with the idea of like people and their flaws and people's like, you know, just how people feel about themselves. And I wanted to create a body of work of people that seemed to look like broken ceramic, like if they were like a ceramic sculpture and they shattered. And it was kind of like they're broken internally, but they don't know how like beautiful they are. You know what I mean? So as a kid, I was playing with that concept. I don't know how deep it sounds now and how like, you know, well refined it is now, but that's the idea I had as a kid. So I was painting a bunch of portraits, and I just found this portrait of Bob that I thought it was really dope. And I was like, damn, Bob was such a beautiful person. And like his whole shit was shattered but just you know, it's just, I'm like, his whole, he was taken away too soon. And he had no idea how like beautiful of a person he was. So like, I didn't bother painting him or drawing him with like, you know, the typical fucking blunt in his mouth or the joint in his mouth and shit. I was like, I'm just going to paint Bob as Bob. He's just Bob. And Shepard felt that. He was like, he told me, he was like, dude, it's a portrait of Bob, but it's like, he's like, not only are we big Bob Marley fans, but he was like, you captured him as a person, not just as like the musician, which is like different. And he goes, you know, one of his advices was, and it's funny because this kind of led into the work that I create now. He goes, it reminds me of when, you know, someone tried pulling down one of my posters and it came back in a new form. And he's like, you could draw so fucking well, but having that broken like aspect to it, he was like, you kind of like took it a little bit of this perfection away. He was like, you should play on that a little more, like the tension between a realism and like expressionism or contemporary. Like you have this perfection and this fuck it. That was word for word.
Like is that what you mean by like
exactly
the smiley?
So you see how like all of this is rendered, but the rest is like this very loose form of painting. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a little bit of fuck it. And he told me, he goes, I don't know what that fuck it is for you. You're going to have to figure that out, but you need some, like, you give people a little bit of perfection and then you just give them some fuck it, like whatever that is. So I think that his advice eventually developed into this new style of work that I'm creating, that I call it like street Baroque or street realism or something, you know. So it's like a mixture of street art, graffiti, and high Renaissance Baroque art. It's like taking that style work and then throwing like a contemporary spin on it, but in a more street aspect, because I grew up around graffiti. Like I grew up around like MSK AWR as a kid, and the whole Seventh Letter crew. Another one of my idols was like Retina and Revogue and Saber, Banksy. So all those cats were like heavily like weighted on me as a kid, watching all those. I remember the first time I watched Exit Through the Gift Shop. I was blown the fuck away. I was like, dude, this shit is crazy. I was a kid when I seen that. Oh, it came out in like 2008 or something. So I was like, I wanted to create work where I'm mixing. Like I used to play with the idea, what if Da Vinci collaborated with like Basquiat? What would that look like? Or if Basquiat like painted over a Da Vinci painting.
And you think,
so that was my idea behind it.
You think this is, you said fate earlier?
Well, I don't know. It could be, it could not be. This whole smiley face thing came about during the pandemic. That was an accident, a genuine accident. Like I did not pre-plan that at all. And I try to explain that to people, and then they don't really, I don't know if they don't believe me or if they don't understand, but I'll tell you that story. So when we went into lockdown, I didn't paint for like a fucking month. I didn't do shit for a month. Me and my dad were working on a body of work for a father and son show, and it completely got put on pause. And I got like really depressed because my dad had just filed for divorce and he moved in with me in my 1-bedroom apartment. So I gave my dad my bedroom and I was sleeping in my living room. And like, we're talking about a fucking hut of an apartment. Like Westside has been to my apartment. Like you should ask him, like this motherfucker could look left and right and see the whole place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, yeah. So I was really depressed and I didn't do shit for a month. And then all of a sudden I remember getting into an argument with my dad about some dumb shit. And I didn't talk to him for like 2 days. So I was like really down and out. I was like fucking broke. Like I was trying to figure out how I was going to take care of my dad, help my mom, and like, what are we going to do? Because we weren't working. Like it looked like we were going to get fucking laid off from work. So I had a bottle of tequila at the house, and I just started throwing back shots, and I started getting fucked up by myself. Like I think my dad was like asleep in the room or something, and I just started fucking like, I don't know. I just started getting fucked up, and I had one empty canvas laying around. So I just started going ham on it. And lo and behold, that piece ended up being the Pray for Paris painting, the Mona Lisa piece. So I'd finished painting it. And then I sat back and I was like, I was like, damn, this shit's pretty dope. And I didn't like really like pre-plan it. I was like I didn't put like, I wasn't like like meditating like, oh, I want to paint third eye smiley faces. Like that wasn't like a thought. I was just
You
like,
were just fucked up.
I was fucked up and painting
Dealing with
I
your
don't even,
shit.
honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even remember painting that shit, because by the time I was done, I was just like, my head was spinning. And I remember taking a picture of it and sending it to Westside.
that
And
night
I sent it
while
to him.
you're like
Dude,
blackout.
there's a bunch of beer bottles and like tequila bottles around, and I'm like sitting there with this fucking spray in the center of my living room, dude. Like I'm getting paint on my walls. Definitely didn't get my deposit back. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm sitting there and I'm sitting on my couch, and I sent him a picture, and I was like, dude, almost word for word. It was like, I said this pandemic, this lockdown got me painting differently. And I was like, I'm fucked up right now. That's what I said, something like that. And he goes, yo, I need that for Pray for Paris. And I was like, I think you do. So it ended up being the alternate cover for Pray for Paris, and it blew the fuck up. So I started like playing with that concept, and then I painted the first cherub painting with the smiley face, and then ever since then, dude, it just blew the fuck up. Took a life of its own.
That is fate. If
Yeah,
you believe in it like that, like,
and I'll tell you even something crazy, not to cut you off. I had talked to Wes a few months prior to that. We were at the show at the Novo,
okay,
the last LA show from the What Was Machine Gun Do tour. And I asked him, I said, hey, because he mentioned this album that he was working on, and I said, are we doing any artwork for it? And he goes, nah, I got Virgil doing it. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, like,
all right.
yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna fucking argue on that, like whatever, you know. So I was like, okay. But he had me at the same time. He had me working on the Versace painting. So he was like, I got another project for you.
The Versace.
Yeah. So he's like, I got another project for you. He's like, I want you to paint me Versace, and then I was working on the Liz. So I was working on those pieces before I even did the Pray for Paris joint. So I was busy working on stuff, but it was like side project. It was a cover for Armani, and then it was a Versace piece. I think at first I thought the Versace piece was to coincide with Boldy's album, because we always do artwork for one of the releases. Like there's always some artwork to go with it. So, but the artwork came out before the album, so I wasn't really too sure about that, but. So I was working on that shit, and then I busted out the Pray for Paris painting, and he ended up using it for fucking Pray for Paris, and that ended up being like the fucking piece that like just went crazy.
Where do you think that idea came from?
I don't know. I really don't know. I was just like, I feel like painting the Mona Lisa. I was like, this is my bitch. Like the Mona Lisa is like my favorite person on the planet. So I was like,
why? What's your connection to Mona Lisa? Because
I have my rendition. Yeah, you can grab her if you want.
Do you mind?
Yeah, grab her. Put her in the center. She can join this conversation. She's been around. Yeah. Go ahead. Put her in the center. And it's funny because I've never exhibited her. Like she's never been in any gallery. I haven't even framed her. And I painted her in 2019. So that was maybe my third year of painting. And it was a portrait that I did as a study, strictly as a study. I just wanted to do a master copy of the Mona Lisa. It was my favorite painting of all time. Da Vinci's my favorite artist of all time. So it was just for practice. I wanted to, and one of my things is like, if you want to learn how to paint like someone, you have to paint.
Is this an exact replica?
No, it's not an exact replica. Actually,
I've seen it in person.
Hold her. Yeah, check this out.
I've seen it in person, but I don't remember. But this is fucking mesmerizing. Like
from the Louvre. So this is a print from
an official print.
And so this is like side by side, like the original.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was literally just to test my ability. Yeah, that's all it was. So I wasn't trying to do it exact. I was just trying to paint her as if I was painting alongside him in his studio.
The reason I asked if it was an exact copy is because of the red hair right here.
Well, the reference that I was looking at, this print here is if there's like a bunch of different files on the internet. If you go on the internet, some of the files where she appears like really, really yellow. And the yellowing is because of the varnish that yellows over time. But I was using one of those references, and I think this reference is like if you look up the Mona Lisa and then you go on like Wikipedia, they have a file of her that's like in real time, like it's color corrected.
Okay.
Where like if you're looking at it in person,
she has the red hair.
Appears this way. Well, the reference I was looking at, she was a little more warm. So I was painting her from a warm photograph versus like this colder, colder like color corrected photograph. Yeah. So
what's your connection to this piece?
I was just, dude, as a kid, I was just fucking fascinated with the Mona Lisa. I just thought it was the most beautiful painting. So I was like, Da Vinci, I've watched so many documentaries and I've read so much about Da Vinci. I was just so infatuated with him as a person, dude, because he was what you call a polymath, where he was like interested in so many different areas and topics, and he was like a master of them all. Like what's the term? Polymath. So he was like a master in botany. He was a master in like literature and painting. He was a master inventor. Dude, he invented a lot of shit. He laid down the groundwork for like the modern tank, and like was trying to understand flight before the fucking Wright brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, he had more interest in developing weapons of warfare than he was in creating art. Like he became an artist because he was illegitimate as a child. And when you're illegitimate, it's hard for you to get like really good, like to build a career off that. So his dad got him an apprenticeship with Verrocchio, who at the time was like a really prominent artist in Italy, like at Venice or Florence or something. I forget, but he was like a really prominent artist. Like he was well known. So to be an apprentice in his workshop, it was a big deal. And Da Vinci eventually, he assisted him on a painting. I forget the title of it, but it's a portrait of two angels. And Da Vinci painted one of the angels. And Verrocchio said he like vowed to never paint again after he saw Da Vinci's painting because it was so incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. So he stopped painting because of that. And Da Vinci, it's said that I don't know if it's true or not, but according to historical facts, it said that Da Vinci would say that he was a painter last. Like he would say he was a mathematician, he was an architect, he was a botanist, he was a scientist, a chemist, like all these different things. And he would mention that he was an artist last, because I think he was trying to, he eventually got connected with the Duke of Milan. And it wasn't up until then where he really like got his chance to start developing like weapons of warfare, like developing maps, like well-developed like maps that allowed the Duke of Milan to like be like have his like military like on par.
I was gonna ask you before, because we were in your studio and you have a movie set up, a set for, and you're starring in a horror movie, and you make music, and you want to do comedy, and then
I do clothing and tattoos. I know,
and the tattoos, like, you want to be. Do you see yourself as an artist less?
You know what? I don't ever really call myself an artist because I feel like that's not up to me. I always say I'm a painter because I feel like being given the title of an artist, I don't feel like I've done enough yet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if my art has moved people in the way to be able to be like, I'm an artist. I just say I'm a painter. I don't know if it has. And if it has,
do you have that self-image problem still? Not even just personal, like looks wise, but on like your work or your, what you're leaving behind, your legacy.
I don't know if it's like an issue with it. I don't feel like it's up to me to say that I've made an impact. I don't know if I have. I'm not going to know. I'll never know. You know what I mean? I always say this, like, if you told me that like 500 years from now that my work was in history books and my work had inspired the next big person, next big thing, I'd be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like if I died and not knew shit about my art, like where it went, or not saw any success in my lifetime, I'd be okay with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think I've done a lot for my age, and I've seen my work in all over the world. I've seen my work on publications that I never thought it would end up. I mean, my work has ended up in the hands of people I never thought it would end up. You know what I mean? So I think that
second piece was in pubs.
Yeah. So having collectors like that, like it, but I don't measure that as part of my success. I think I don't know if I'm successful. I think I'm doing well for myself. I can live off my art. I'm living off it now. So I think that's a big achievement, but I don't know if I would say I'm successful. That's not up to me to say. I don't really think like that's up to me to say. Like I can't say I'm like I'm the best at this shit. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not anything. I'm just a fucking painter.
Are you hard on your stuff, or do you enjoy it now?
I think I'm hard on it still, because I'll paint stuff and I'll reminisce on it and I'll ponder on it and I'll think, okay, maybe I could have done that a little better. But then I try to like accept it, like, okay, like, it how it is, it's how it's meant to be. So I try not to like hold on to things too much. I try really hard to let go of things. Like as an entrepreneur, it's been really like important for me to not have any attachment to anything. Like I'm not attached to money. I'm not attached to my image. I'm not attached to my work. I'm not attached to anything, because if you become attached to things, you leave room for like this like moment of doubt, and you have all these negative thoughts. And I don't like having negative thoughts. So I just detach myself from anything. Like nothing means shit to me.
You don't like having negative thoughts.
I try not to, you know what I mean? And I'm a big shit talker. I love talking shit because it's funny, but I think that's just part of like just. But
I mean, to yourself, do you like when you start getting, you don't let yourself spiral?
I try not to, because there's no point to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had a lot of people in my family like suffer from chronic depression, and you just realize, dude, there's no benefit from holding on to things that you can't control. So I came to realize that the only control that I do have is knowing that I don't have control over shit. So I try not to have control over anything. I think that people are so fixated on like having this sense of, I need to be able to control this. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw a lot of that in like very close friends, and it drove them crazy. And they just ended up failing like more and more. Like it's good to fail, but if you're only failing, like that sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like you're supposed to see some success in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, well, I think Ice Cube said it one time. He was like, I don't want to get rich and die trying. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's, people get caught up in like a weird mental space when they're attached to things. And I just try not to like hold on to things. Like I just let things go. Like if I paint a painting and I put it out there, I'm not going to like just say, oh, like this is going to change my life. I don't fucking know that. I just put it out there. If no one likes it, then fine.
You did the first smiley face blackout drunk in a 1-bedroom apartment with your dad staying with you.
Yeah. And a big argument with my dad too. I didn't talk to my dad for like 2 days. I didn't talk to my mom. I didn't talk to nobody. I was so angry and pissed off.
What was the first thought you had when you woke up the next morning?
Well, I went back and read the text with Wes, and I was just like, this should be interesting because this is brand new. It was like,
you knew it was life changing?
I didn't know until it first came out. When Westside put out the merch and shit, dude, everything sold out in like nanoseconds. And I
still have that mystery tie-dye.
You want to hear a crazy fucking story, dude? Dude, this is wild, bro. And I haven't said this in any interview, which is I'm excited because this is fucking funny. So I never Wes never sent me like a crew neck or anything. I think everything just sold out. There was just nothing left. And I was like, fuck, whatever. So I didn't have any Pray for Paris merch like for like a whole like 2 years or something, right? Like a year or some shit or whatever. Like last year, I get a call from one of my homegirls. She sends me a picture of the champion shirt, the black shirt at a secondhand store, Second Street, down in like San Diego or something. And she goes, "Oh, I was just looking in Second Street and I found this. This is so dope. Reminds me of you." And I'm like, "Dude, that is my shit." And I was like, "Did you buy that?" And she was like, "No, I didn't." I was like, "How are you?" I was like, "You didn't buy that?" I was like, "Are you serious?" So I was like, immediately told her, I was like, "What Second Street did you get this from?" So I called them and I was like, "Yo, do you guys have," I described the shirt to them and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're talking about the Westside Gunn Isaac Pelayo shirt." And I was like, "Yeah, that's me." Yeah.
Like,
I was like, "Yeah, do you have that in stock still?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have it." So I was like, "All right, please put it on fucking hold because I'm coming for it." So I went to go get it and I was praying that it was in my size and it happened to be a medium, which is my size. And I, dude, sure enough, it was in the fucking rack with all these like, it was next to like Off-White and all this like other shit. It was just like next to all these like brand name shit. And I go up to the cashier and it's funny because I'm wearing one of my like t-shirts, I'm like wearing one of my shit and they're just not like correlating the two. And I gave them like my ID and like my credit card and they're like not correlating the two. And I was like, "Do you guys know anything about this shirt?" And they're like, kind of. They're like, we know, like, yeah, like Westside's a really big artist, whatever. And they're like, it's a pretty cool shirt. So, and they were selling the shirt for like $70. I was like, "Dude, this shirt sold retail at like $60 or something."
And then resales.
It sells for like a couple $100. So I was like, "You guys are honestly retarded." Like, I can't believe. So I was talking and like these cashiers don't know shit. Like they're just looking at me like, okay. And I was like, "Yeah, dude." I was like, this shirt's really popular. I'm like, "This is like a rare shirt. There's not
the
many
artist,
made."
real dope guy.
Yeah, I was like, and I told them, and I was just being really ignorant at this point. I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be worth a lot more if I sign it." And they were like, "What?" And I was just like, "Oh, well, I'm Isaac Pelayo," and I had already bought it. I was like, "Dude, you guys could have sold this shit for like $200." They were like, "Oh, okay." And then I just walked out with the shirt. But what's crazy is, dude, the tag on the shirt, like the tag that has a price, literally said Westside Gunn, Isaac Pelayo, Pray for Paris collab shirt. It literally had our names on the fucking like store tag.
That's crazy.
And I kept the tag. I have it put away somewhere. And it was so funny, dude. I was like, I had to buy. I told Wes, like, "Motherfucker, I had to buy my own, our own shit at a fucking secondhand store." I was like, I'm lucky
Who wore this before,
right,
man?
dude. I was like, "Who bought this?" Like, you bought this at retail and they bought it off you for like a penny because they were reselling it for like $10 more. Like, dude.
I wonder if the person watching is like, I brought my.
Yeah, dude. I hope they see it because, dude, that's how I got my Pray for Paris shirt. It was so funny.
Why do you think? What do you think your connection to Wes is? What do you think about Wes inspires such different?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because me and Westside are the new Renaissance. Westside takes an old art form, an old way of making music, and has reinvented it. He didn't invent this grimy shit. He took old grimy shit and he reinvented it. That's why I say with my work, I'm not inventing anything. I'm just reinventing everything. So I'm taking an old form of art and I'm making it new for people of my time to understand it. You know what I mean? Like I'm making art that's reminiscent of the giants, the classics. It's like DJ Shay says, you might compare Westside to like Raekwon or some shit, but he's like, these Griselda's beyond that. You know what I mean? Like they're on their own level of great. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna take something old and I'm gonna make it fucking brand new, put a new spin on it. So when people dubbed me and Westside as the new Renaissance, I was like, yeah, you're very right, because I happen to be working with like the only person in the industry that's like bringing this shit back. And I feel like I'm the only painter in the industry that's bringing this old shit back.
And you didn't even realize what all the
correlation between this. Yeah.
The culmination and the correlation.
Exactly. Like, I'm like, dude, me and Westside are really bringing old shit back, but making it new and making it not better, but I mean, I'm not going to speak for myself and saying I'm making it better. Westside's making it better.
When you were when you wanted to be an artist as a kid, what did you think your impact was going to be on the world?
If you asked me when I was like 10, I probably would have said some dumb shit like, "Oh, I want to be the best artist in the world. I want to be the next Da Vinci. I want to be
Would
remembered."
you have said that at that age?
Probably. I was saying some dumb shit like that. But now I don't care to be looked at as anything. If people appreciate my work and they're collecting it and it's going in collections that are going to be passed down over the years and people appreciate it the way I appreciate it, then I feel like that's good enough for me. You know, I'm glad enough that I can live off this shit. I can make money 1,000 other ways, but to make money off my art that's dope. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, I want to live. Like, I hear a lot of artists my age say some real ignorant shit. Like, just the other day, I was at an event and I heard some artist say some shit that bothered the fuck out of me. He was like, "Oh, you know, I don't care about like the collectors. I don't care about like all that shit." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up, dude. What you mean? That's so stupid. Why would you say that? Like, if your collectors are watching that or heard you just say that, they wouldn't give a fuck about you either." You know what I'm saying? Like, I love my collectors. Like, every time someone collects my work, I have a long ass conversation with them and I'm just like, you know, and they tell me this like long thing of how they feel about the work. And that's dope for me because each person has their own connection with the work. So it's like, you know, they're either collecting it because it reminds them of some childhood shit, or they want to pass something down to their kids and they believe in me as an artist to grow. And I'm like, damn. So that's a little bit of pressure too. It's like they're believing in me to be something more than I am right now, because they want to pass down that art to their kids and be like, you know, this is a Pelayo. Like, you have something that's like, I watched this unfold. You know what I mean? Like, people watched me unfold in the last like 2-3 years. I really, and I'll say this on your podcast for the first time, I really do attribute Westside for my success, a lot of my success, because I wasn't really, I've always, I mean, I've been publicized and I've exhibited my work and I've had celebrity collectors, but I'll tell you right now, I haven't felt like I was in the conversation until Westside came in the picture. I really put Westside on a pedestal. Like, Westside is really part of why I'm here right now.
Because you were ready for the occasion when it arose.
Right. It was like Nipsey.
I was going
to preparation meets opportunity. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, why do you think your vision connects more than others? But that's a ignorant question for me to ask, because it's all the years of hard work you put in. It's the 10,000 hours.
Oh, dude, I put hundreds of thousands of hours.
Of course, yeah.
If people have no idea. Like, I haven't really got to sit down in like an interview or like for a magazine and really tell people like what I've been through as a kid. Like, I grew up in a very like toxic household. I grew up around fucking violence, around drugs. I've been around it all. Like, I've seen that shit. I mean, I haven't shot anybody. Hopefully I don't, you know, that's as far as I haven't seen, but I've been around the shit. Like I said, like my mom's side, like some of my family on my mom's side is like ex-gang related. My dad's side is very square. They grew up very religious, like very disconnected from each other. So it was like, there was no like family connection on my dad's side. And then on my mom's side, everybody was so tight knit that they knew each other's business. So nobody got around without knowing shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yeah, my mom's side is crazy. The
art was the escape.
My art was absolutely, I remember being like 5'6", just like hiding in like any crevice of the house while like there was just like a fucking fist fight happening in the next room. You know what I mean? Like some crazy shit. Yeah. Like at the time, like my mom fucking around with drugs, like, you know what I'm saying? Like my grandmother suffering from like chronic depression. Like I'll put this for perspective for people to understand. What the house that I grew up in, I grew up with my mom, my grandma, and my great grandma, 3 generations of women, with my mom's 2 younger brothers that were like 7 and 9 years apart from me. So they were my uncles, but they were like too close in age. So they're more like my older brothers.
Yeah.
So they treated me like a younger brother, but I was the baby up until I was like 11 or 12. I was the only child. in the house. And I'd see my dad on the weekends, but like the type of shit that I grew up watching, like I remember like a time where like I watched my mom OD when I was like 6. You know what I'm saying? Like while like my Grammy's like trying to commit suicide. Like my grandma was a big cutter because she suffered from a lot of depression. So that was the type of shit that I would see like on an often basis, like watching my Grammy cut herself, my mom doing drugs, my uncles fucking fist fighting. My great grandma was a drunk, like alcoholic, like everybody always talking shit about like my immediate family, like people in and out of the fucking house. Like that's the house I grew up in as a kid, like every single fucking day, like up until I was like 13 or some shit. Like when I was 13, my Grammy did commit suicide. She took a handful of pills. So like that's the type of shit that like was like happening, like right here, like right on my shoulder. And the only thing that I had to escape was art. Like I never got to play sports. I never got to get into like any extracurricular activities. We didn't have the money to pay for like sports gear. I wanted to play basketball really bad. I wanted to play football. I tried to get involved in acting when I was like 11, 12, didn't have the money to pay for the schooling. It was just cheaper to fuck around with pencils and paper. And I just would sit in the fucking corner of the house and I would just draw away. That was my only escape. While chaos is fucking happening in the next room, I'd just be alone. I was so quiet as a kid that I would get in trouble for being too quiet. They would like be screaming for me, Isaac, where the fuck are you? And I'm like, here, like in the room, quiet, like I'm just playing. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up and I was very sheltered. They wouldn't really let me out of the house and I was like closed off. But like
in your mind, did you know you were destined for more at that time?
I don't know. Maybe I thought that as a kid, but I don't know. I don't even know if I'm destined for anything now. I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, but you have, okay, it doesn't matter the accolades or anything, but you have passion and you have heart, you have passion, you have dedication. You have and that is destined for more because who has passion and dedication? Out of 100 people you meet.
Yeah, no, you're right, but I don't know. I think that I don't know. I feel like it's not my place to say that I'm destined for anything. I'm not going to say that. It's like saying, do you think I'm good? I know I'm all right, but I'm not going to say I'm like great. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not for me to dub. That's for the people to dub.
But
if
you
people
also,
believe it, then
yes. So you kind of live in the eye of the storm. I do it too. Like I'm very, you can like, I very much am like when you told me earlier that you wanted to, like, even that you are doing this is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm in the eye of the storm sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like other people get to enjoy it more than I do.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I try to like step back and realize like what I'm doing is pretty dope. And I know it is dope. And I'm grateful for everything that I've done and like everything that's come to me. But I don't feel like the job is finished. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like some
and that's what you're
like
talking
on some,
about 500 years from now.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
When the job will be finished.
Exactly. Like when will my work stand, to a test time? Like will it stand?
Do you think
time? Huh? I don't know. I hope it does. I definitely, when I'm painting my work, I paint with like the energy, like, okay, I'm going to put as much as I can into this so that people can really feel this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just paint just to paint. Like I really do. I tell people, I've said this before, I think in an interview, I said that I paint like I fuck. Like the sexual energy for me is the same as painting. Like I feel euphoric when I paint. It's like it's like a sexual experience for me.
I understand because it's the flow state.
Mm-hmm.
Humans try so hard to get into a place where they don't have to think. They're just creating.
Right.
And that creating can be whether I'm on stage or you're painting or you're fucking or you're just in these moments where it's there and it's just there.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely sometimes will get in the studio and I'll just start painting without thinking. It's like when you drive home and you don't even
listen
remember
to the story you said the story you said about the first
yeah. Sometimes I do paint like that. Oftentimes I paint.
Do you ever think about where ideas come from?
It's for experience for sure. Like oftentimes I'm recreating old artwork and making it new, but that's just for like me to get this stuff. This shit is like just to jumpstart me to like, all right, let me jump in. Let me do something that's going to like kickstart me into this. And then I'll paint my own shit. So a lot of it comes from like, using models that are very personal to me. And there's a deeper story because of the person that I'm painting. And it'll be reminiscent of like some, or, original master work, but like the piece behind you, the self-portrait it's just a spin on Caravaggio's David and Goliath. But I painted that when I got back from my European trip, my trip to Italy, and I saw those paintings in person and I was like, those are fucking crazy. I gotta paint that. Like I gotta like recreate my own version of that. And then when I was in the process of doing it, I was like, I don't want to just get like random models to do this. I was like, you know what? When I got back from Italy, dude, I felt like everything I ever felt about art, and especially my work, completely like just faded away. It was just diminished. It disintegrated. Like I had like an ego death. And I never, like I told you earlier, I never done shrooms, but I really felt like I had an ego death. So
what, going over there and seeing
that shit in person like floored me, dude. I cried every time I went into a museum. Literally cried. Like I cried when I fucking went into the Sistine Chapel. I cried when I saw the Mona Lisa. I cried when I saw Caravaggio.
Was that your first time seeing the Mona Lisa?
That was my first time in Europe. Yeah. Dude, I did a month-long trip in Europe and just saw everything I could. So when I was painting that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to paint a painting that's symbolic of an ego death. Like me killing off the old me. But it's also a spin on Caravaggio's David and Goliath. So, and that's how I feel now. I feel like I don't like talking about my work now. Like I was just like, when people ask me about it, it's like, I don't know. It's up for you to like, I have a story behind it.
Okay.
But I don't.
If I asked you that stuff before you went to the trip, would you answer it differently?
I probably would have been like, oh, this shit is like dope, like blah, blah. Like I probably would have like talked myself up. Like I would have talked my shit. But like now I don't, it's not up to me to do that. It's better to hear other people's thoughts. Like I have a story behind it, but it doesn't mean it's a good story. It doesn't mean it's a great story. It doesn't mean it's worthy of it being art. Like, I don't know if this shit should be in a museum. Like, who am I to say? I hate when I talk to like artists my age and they're like, oh, my shit's worth like $1 million. Okay, well, have you sold a fucking painting at $1 million? And no, motherfucker, your shit isn't worth $1 million. Like, it's only worth what people are willing to pay for it in reality, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I don't put a value. Like, to me, obviously, like it's priceless. I never want to see them go. But I'm just like, I'm not going to take money with me when I die. I'm not gonna take any of this shit. None of this stuff matters to me. It's just what matters to me most is leaving something dope behind. Will these stand, for years to come? I don't know. But if it does, then dope.
How did you use the pain when you were younger as an outlet for energy? While some people don't. Some people go through that and get lost in that.
Yeah, I know. I feel you. Like I think about it all the time, and I trip out. I'm like, dude, I'm surprised I'm not like on fucking drugs. I'm surprised I'm not in jail. I'm surprised I'm not dead. It could have easily gone one of those three ways. Especially fucking somebody up, because I was really angry as a kid. I was very angry, like really fucking angry. And there was times where I wanted to fuck people up really bad. And even more like specifically like people that were like very like involved in my life. Like it was like oftentimes like my mom's like partners, like my mom's ex-husband. I fucking hated that guy. It was like, it came close, really close, So like, and it's funny because I'm not like excited to talk about shit like that because it doesn't make me look good, but it's just shit that it was like in that moment, like I'm not thinking about what other people think. I'm thinking about like, what's happening in that moment. So like I instead of reacting in a very negative way, I would just put all that shit into my art. Like I would go into the studio. I've cried while painting paintings. I've like been angry while painting paintings. That's why that once, like I told you, when I got fucked up, dude, I was so angry and so like depressed. Like I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna get fucked up and I just don't want to feel anything right now. And then I just started painting and I didn't even like realize what I was painting until the very end.
Do you think you were Do you think this, because this is for people listening. Do you think people are born with their special thing, or do you think, like you said, you were younger, you didn't even know? Do you think people can find it?
Yes and no, because I know people that have found like their craft since they were little, and I know people that have found their craft much later in life. I think, like I said, I think, like art came to me. I didn't find it; it came to me. You know, because dude, the first drawing I ever drew was I was fucking 2. My dad has a tattoo of it, you know, and turns out it was a fucking smiley face. Yeah, it's the first thing I ever drew. Yeah, it's 2 years old. So and I actually have the original drawing. It's I drew it with Sharpie. We have it somewhere around here. It's framed up, but so it's you know, thinking about stuff like that, it's like that's crazy because dude, all I've ever believed in was art. I got into an argument the other day with one of my homegirls. She came over to get tatted, and she asked me randomly. Like, everything was cool. Like we're done tattooing. I took some reference photos of her to model for me. Everything was dope. We were having some shots. And out of nowhere, she asked me what I like, what do I believe in as far as like my religious beliefs. I grew up around a lot of religion. You know, I was baptized like Christian, been around Christian Catholic. I went to Christian Catholic churches. My mom's ex-boyfriend at one, she had a Muslim ex-boyfriend. My dad grew up Jehovah's Witness. My ex's parents were fucking atheists. Been around it all. The chick that took my virginity was Jewish. Like there's like all these types of different beliefs around me. And at some point I just like said, you know what? I don't believe in, not that I don't believe in any of this, but what I believe in most is art, because art has never failed me. It's never lied to me, and it's only directed me in the best possible direction. Like I have faith when I look at art. I have faith when I paint. Like it gives me hope when I paint. Therefore, I believe in that. We got into a really big argument about it. She was like hardcore Christian. I'm like, that's fine. Like I'm not saying you're wrong. Like, I don't know. I'm going to find out when I fucking die. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. Why am I going to argue with you on something that I don't know for certain? Because it's in a book. I don't know. Because it's been told 2,000 years. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Shit, dude. We could fucking die and I'll find out. Like, I'll find out. But for now, like, I really believe in like the art. Like the art is like religious for me. You know what I mean? As a kid, even so like it was the only thing that like answered to me.
And that was your spiritual awakening when you went to Europe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. When I went there,
you don't need psychedelics. Floored. I'm not trying to, trust me, I'm not the person who's like, everyone needs to do them. Like, that's not what it is. I just was wondering if you had, but I understand, because that spiritual awakening can be anything. Yeah,
they can come in, dude. It's come in music. I mean, it's come movies and books and shit. I've had like revelations and like epiphanies at random moments. Like even hearing Westside's music. Like when I listen to Westside's music and I'm working on something that he like is commissioning, I listen to his shit. I'm listening to Benny, Conway, Armani. I'm listening to everybody, because when I get into that feel, I start to like feel that shit. It's like method act, because I act too, and I try to go the method route where like I try to become the fucking character. I'll tell you even another crazy story. So when I was painting the Mona Lisa, before I started painting her, I said, okay, I was like gearing up for it. I was like mentally preparing myself, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go for this. And I remember I publicly put on my Instagram, I said, okay, I'm gonna paint the Mona Lisa. Wish me luck, right? Some shit like that. And I tried to do like a form of method acting, where at the time I was working at Disney. So I was working 40 hours a week. So I was going to work at like 7, coming out at like 3 or 4. And I had from 4 o'clock till midnight to like work on my own shit, you know, because I'd try to go to bed by midnight. And I remember I would come home and I would play medieval sound effects on YouTube to hear like an ambient sound of like the 14th century, 15th century, like high Renaissance, like 14th century Italy or something. Like you would hear like horses trotting and like people like blacksmiths like working and shit. So I would play that really loud, and I would paint under like low light, like candlelight, and I would paint under like sunlight. I would try never to use like lamps and shit. And I really try to like become like I was living
When
in
you
that
did.
fucking time when I was painting her. Because I was like, I want to feel like I'm fucking there.
Are you happy with this?
I happy. I wouldn't say I'm happy. It's definitely my favorite painting I've ever done because I felt like it was a moment where I was challenging myself as an artist to paint and tackle like the most famous painting of all fucking time. It's nowhere near that. But for me as an artist, as a self-taught artist, it was a challenge for myself. It was like going over a hurdle that was beyond the height that I'd ever jumped. You know what I mean? So it was for me. This is strictly for me. This was like for my ego. You know what I mean? Like this was for nobody else. So it's definitely one of my favorite things that I've ever painted because it told me that, okay, like I'm okay. Like I'm good. Like I could do this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I started
one of those moments because you were like, there was a moment where you're like, okay, I'm better than.
No, it wasn't like more like I'm better than anybody. But you
were saying that like you hit a moment where you're like, okay, I'm trying to compare myself to my dad.
Well,
then you're like, okay, I can pass that.
Well, once I started painting, I already felt like I was as good as my dad. So it wasn't up until Mona Lisa. After I started painting, I stopped worrying about my dad's work and I started worrying about my work. Like I was like, okay, my goal is to be a better painter than I was yesterday. So I got to paint something that tops the last painting.
Because you could have gotten lost in the other thing,
right?
Comparison. Thing.
Exactly. So it's like, you know what? I'm not going to focus on anybody else's work. I'm just going to focus on me. Because if I try to be better, if I'm the best in the room, where else is there to grow?
What did I just say to AA yesterday? I said I want to be the worst person on my team.
You always be the worst person on your team. Why?
Because you're only as good as your worst player.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm
always have someone better in the room.
Yeah.
Because if you're the best in the room, then everybody's relying on you and there's nowhere else to grow. Like, so I would always look at myself as like, damn, I'm in the room with a better me right now. So I got to be better than that. Like there's always two of me. I'm a Gemini too. So that shit's funny because there's two of me for sure. So I'm like, I got to be better than the other half of me, you know? So that's really where this like work ethic comes from, is trying to like push my boundaries. I don't give a fuck about being better than anybody else. That's never a thought in my mind. I started unfollowing all like my artist friends just so I didn't pay attention to their work. Not because I don't fuck with them. It's just because I was like, you know what? I don't want to see anybody else's work because I'm not trying to like paint like anybody else. I don't want to paint and be influenced by anybody else.
That's okay. Because I feel like there's two schools of thought. There's that, and then there's the like see everything so I know I'm creating my own thing.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with inspiration. Like there's no, like my work is inspired by street art and Renaissance. So I'm taking my inspiration, but I'm saying like, I don't want to like get caught up in like comparing my shit to like other artists that are like maybe more successful than I am. And like, oh, well, my work's better than theirs. Like, I don't like doing that shit.
No, and that's not what
that just makes me sound like a fucking hater. And I hate being that way. I mean, even though I'll talk my shit and be like, I don't really like that shit. But
what
like,
made you get into tattooing? Because like
that was random, dude.
Your shit's crazy.
Yeah.
You said you did this whole arm?
Yeah, I did this whole arm.
You got the Keith Haring tattoo. You got what's the like real the Starry Night? What's the like long-legged?
That's Salvador Dali. And then this is Frida Kahlo, and then I have a willow tree for my grandmother who passed away, and then a Japanese good luck charm.
Wow.
Yeah, I know these are old, dude. But yeah, tattoo.
He said that he wants you to give him his first tattoo.
We can run that for sure. Yeah, that's easy. That's not even a question. Yeah, we could do that. Pop his cherry real quick. Yeah, that'd be a second cherry you pop. But
I wish so bad you could show. Oh, I would do it on the. Oh, we'll wait till after.
We should do another next time when you do your tattoo. No, we should do it live.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, it'd be tight. Yeah, tattooing came random, dude. I started tattooing when I was 15. I just moved to Texas. My mom got my mom's ex-husband enlisted in the army, and he got based in Fort Hood. So I moved to Texas. I went to a flea market and I ran into an old couple that handmade machines. Like they made homemade custom machines and shit. So I think I had like $160 in my pocket from like selling like drawings and shit. And I bought their like starter kit. It was like machines, it was like inks, it was like needles. It came with everything. It was at 15, yeah. And the reason, look at the song title.
Mona Lisa. That's so funny.
So
also, that's reckless of them to sell it to a 15-year-old.
yeah, but you know,
I mean, I'm happy they did.
They were like, if it's just for practice,
just have to put it on public record that it is a little wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. But so the reason why I got into tattooing is because nobody on my mom's side knows really shit about art. They don't really know anything about fine art. They don't know anything about like the journey of an artist. They don't know how galleries operate, how museums operate. They're just unaware, right? My dad is the only person in my life that like really knows the art world, like the real art world, the blue chip industry, like the best galleries, the best museums, the important art dealers, the schools, like everything. Like we really studied that shit. So when I was little, my family on my mom's side, you know, not knowing much about art, they just figured, okay, maybe you should do tattoos because you could be really successful doing tattoos if you're an artist. And they didn't understand like the opportunity of success in like fine art.
So they were pushing you to do.
Yeah. So they didn't know shit. Like
it's a job.
You're right. They didn't know how like successful you could be as a painter or something, or like a drawer. So they're like, you should do tattoos. Like they thought that maybe like that
even
was
though your dad was.
Yeah. They just didn't know. So they figure, oh, like this is like the next step that you could take with your art and like make a lot of money. Cause they were familiar with like Kat Von D and shit. At the time, like Kat Von D had her LA Ink show. So they were like, this is like the next step to being an artist. So they would always push me to it. They would always be like, oh, you should do tattoos. You should do tattoos. And like, give me one. So when I was 15, just before like I turned 16, I went and bought my first set of equipment and I started tattooing. Dude, I was tattooing my uncle was the first person I ever tattooed. My cousin was my second person I tattooed. And then I started tattooing like my mom.
What was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo was a cross on my uncle's ankle. Yeah. So that was the very first thing I tattooed. And it came out dope. I mean, it was cool. So, and then I tattooed like diamonds on my fucking cousin's legs.
What was the first tattoo you gave yourself?
The Keith Haring tattoo. Yeah. I did. Dude, it was funny. I did that shit when I was like 18. I had already been tattooing for a couple of years and I had nothing. And then people were always like, how are you going to do tattoos? And you don't have any. So I gave myself a tattoo and I like, my mom was like crashed on the couch. I was like, Ma, I got a new tattoo. She like woke up halfway. She's like, is it real? And I was like, yeah, it's fucking real. She's like, oh, it looks good. And went back to sleep. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was my
so
first
different
tattoo
from all the other.
Yeah, well, I got Keith Haring on this wrist, and then I have Basquiat on this wrist. Those are like two like fucking titans from the pop art era. So
I have the Reebok Crack is Whack, the Orange Pumper.
No shit, damn, that's tight.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so like these just in this like, you know, these are the titans. So I have, you know, Shepherd Ferry here. Oh, this is a cool story. So I have the Shepherd Ferry Obey icon in the star, but I have a third eye on it. And I'll tell you a reason why. It's because I went out one night to go put up wheat pastes.
Who tattooed it on you?
One of my homies out. I was working at a shop. It was like 2017. And I went out to Melrose one night to go put up wheat paste. And I'll just say this. There was a fresh Shepherd Ferry poster up. I watched it go up, right? Yeah. And I was sneaky enough to creep up after it just went up. And I used the fresh wheat paste that they put on their poster, his poster, to put up my poster. And it was a poster of Tupac with the third fucking eye. That's what I put up over his icon face. So I got this tattoo to as a like a memory of that. I put my third eye portrait over his Andre portrait.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that was before he had bought a piece.
Exactly. That was before that. And I told him that story and he just laughs. He just giggles. Like, it's super funny. Yeah. So that's how I got that tattoo.
So you've been tattooing for a while.
For 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. It makes sense because like the detail and shit on this arm is wild.
Yeah.
Is it a completely different art form?
Yeah, for sure. The safety precautions are vast. You got to be extremely sanitary. Like I have my license. I took my bloodborne pathogen tests, and I'm
We have to take like a drug test.
not a drug test, a bloodborne pathogen test. You have to understand the possibilities of like working with needles and stuff.
Oh,
you know,
understand.
like blood transfer.
That was a stupid question.
No, yeah, that's why I'm explaining it. It's you know, like you can easily do. People get fucking AIDS this way, so you have to understand like the differences between like hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and AIDS and fucking all this crazy like different diseases. Like all my equipment is brand new prepackaged. Like I take very sanitary precaution when I tattoo, even though I don't work in a shop anymore. I don't even do tattoos that often anymore. It's a very niche thing for me. It's like, all right, like if I feel it, then I'll do it. But like I don't even consider myself a tattoo artist anymore. I'm just an artist that knows how to tattoo.
And you did your chest too?
I did my chest.
What's up with the heart?
Well, the heart was like a metaphor. It was just like, you know how people will be like, oh, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I say I wear my heart on my chest. So it's like it's just part of my outfit, you know? So it's like when I have my shirt off, like I got my heart, and then there's an eye in the center of my heart, and it's a metaphor for like, I see with my heart. So it's like, I see with my heart, not my mind, you know, or like not through my eyes. So that was just, that's what that meant. Like, there's nothing deeper than that. I wish I could say something that's like way tighter, but like, yeah, I just thought it was cool. It was like a heart just right in the center of my chest. Cause you know, and then it's funny because like my grandpa had a heart attack too. So, so it's kind of like reminiscent of that. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to die of a heart attack one day. I know. I don't know why.
Top one.
I don't know why. I just feel like that's just how I'm going to go. I don't know. I'm like, I told you I'm a hypochondriac. So sometimes I feel like my heart will pound and I'm just like, dude, I think this is how I'm going to go.
I understand. Yeah. I'm the same way. I get pains and I'm like, I'm done.
I'm like, I think that's how I'm going to go. I don't know why.
Goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. And my grandpa died really young too. He was like 60 something. He was like 63, 64. So yeah, I'm like, damn, I hope this shit isn't like hereditary. Like, I don't know if there's a story about it or not, but I just want to on the podcast say how much I love the Liz 1 and 2 covers. Liz 2 is good.
Liz 2 is
really good, dude. So I painted that while I was in Paris, while I was in Europe.
Oh wow.
Westside hit me up last minute.
Did you know that was what it was going to be for?
Yeah. Well, when he hit me up, he goes, "Hey, Armani's work." Yeah, he's like, "Hey, yo. Peace, Lord." You know, it's art, man. It's about the art. Yeah, I don't want him. I can't impersonate Wes like Wes can impersonate himself. But no, he hits me up and he goes, Armani's working on the list too, so we need a cover. Obviously, I knew it was going to be another portrait of Elizabeth Taylor, and he sent me a few reference images, and I picked one, and I said, okay, let's do this one. This one's dope. And then it ended up being the one that I painted. And I happened to be in Paris. Oh, I was in Italy at the time. He hit me up and I said, okay, fuck. I'm going to Paris next. I won't start it until I get to Paris, because then I'll get a hotel that I can like, you know, get comfortable in. And then I painted her, I don't know, like 3 days or something.
Wow.
Or no, maybe even sooner, maybe like a day or some shit. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you not ruin a hotel room with paint?
I didn't give a fuck if I did. I'm like, it's coming off West Tab anyway. I'm like, I'll just invoice you. Yeah.
It's part of the price.
Yeah. When I paint, I'm very clean when I paint. I'm not dirty. Like, I'm not like doing this shit. I'm not like Jackson Pollock just fucking whipping paint back and forth. I'm very like tight with the work and very like precise. So yeah, it actually didn't get dirty. The only thing I got dirty was some of the towels that I used as rags, but I didn't give a fuck about those. I'm like, I would have stole those anyway.
Do you have a favorite rap piece? He stole a Mr. Chow's plate when we were at Mr. Chow's.
Did you really? Wow. Allegedly. That's crazy, dude. Well, you know what's funny? I'll show you something.
Look.
Wow.
We spent like fucking 4 or 5, so I guess it's okay.
You took this from Mr. Chow's? Do you know what that is at the top of the plate?
AA was telling us about it.
Dude, that's a Cy Twombly piece at the top of this painting. Dude, did you see my story the other day when my little sister was drawing with me? I said she's on Cy Twombly mode.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, how much you want for this? I'll paint on this. Dude.
But let him paint on it. What are you talking about?
That's crazy, dude. But why? I've never been to Mr. Chow, so I don't know what their plates look like, but it says Mr. Chow and it's drawn by Cy Twombly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's dope,
and the
dude.
food's dope as fuck.
I haven't been. Yeah, I haven't been, and I've been meaning to go. I'm gonna show you guys something even crazier. Check this out. This is dope. You'll fuck with this.
I just keep outing him on podcasts.
That's what's up though. That's cool. I'm gonna show you guys something that's really funny. And I posted it, but I took it down because it was like, all right, I'll bring it back eventually. But I was at a restaurant with my homie Marco or Pietro, and that's my photographer. And we're at a restaurant, and I was finished eating and I started drawing on my plate with hot sauce.
Oh, I've been seeing that you were doing that.
Yeah, I was drawing on my plate with hot sauce, and I drew a Medusa on hot sauce. And it was funny. I was at the listening party for Plates 2, and I drew Ricky with hot sauce as well.
That's so dope.
Yeah, let me find this shit. This shit's crazy. Yeah, you're gonna love this shit. Let me see. I gotta go down in my archives.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that we said that on the podcast.
That's
dude.
so funny, dude. That's gnarly. That's a dope play. Shit. You need to get Mr. Chow to sign that shit. Get him to sign that shit. Tell Mr. that shit Chow? For 2 bands. No, I haven't. I've seen him. I think I saw him at LA Art Show. I saw him at some art fair, and it might have even been Art Basel. But I've never met him formally.
Hey, no. I also want to salute you for that Dolph piece.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. That was Westside. I wouldn't have done it if he didn't commission it because I don't like painting like dead celebrities. Like I don't like doing that. So if it wasn't for him to have been like, yo, I need a
because Dolph is Wes's favorite rapper, but Dolph is also
he told me that, dude. He told me that shit. Like, do you remember when I went to the Albright? That whole Instagram post?
Yeah.
We had a long conversation about that. And I asked him, I said, who are you like listening to right now? And the first person he said was Dolph. And that's how I started. I started like checking out Dolph's music because he said that he was listening to Dolph.
In 2013, Dolph was playing in my city and I bought tickets, but I was too young to go.
Oh, wow.
And then the last show I went to before the pandemic was Dolph and Gluck.
Damn. Yeah, the only song that I'm really like super familiar with Dolph is that one track. I think he's on with OT Genesis or
oh yeah,
you know what song I'm talking about? Cut it. Yeah, that's like the song that I know. Yeah. So I wasn't really familiar. Like,
but you did a beautiful job with that piece because he is. I was glad to do
it. It's pretty fucked up how that shit happened. Yeah, look at that shit. Yeah, to the Third Eye Medusa. Yeah, my homie still has that. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it from there. I'll hold it up. Yeah. This shit's funny. Yeah, so I painted that and I took the plate and my homie still has it and I was gonna release it as a print. Yeah, I was gonna drop it as a print just for the fuck of it. So that's
what's also and then I have a real question, but also the hardest thing is that big jacket that you have.
The trench coat?
The trench coat.
Yeah, that was my collab with Tango Hotel.
This motherfucker has one.
Oh, do you have the trench coat? Dude, there's only 100 of those.
Are you pulling it up? All right.
Wow, that's a dope ass. Oh, wait, I think I seen this. I did see this photo. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that looks so good.
Yeah, that jacket's hard as fuck.
That shit's fire, dude. It's funny. I wore that when I went to Europe and everybody was stopping me for it. They were like, dude, where the fuck did you get that coat? And I was like, well, I designed it. Yeah.
There's only 100 of them?
There's only 100 of them. Yeah. I just gave one to, I had one left and it was like, so I gave one to Wes as a gift.
You're like, but give me one
and Art Miami.
Give me one of my Pray for Paris. And I'll give you this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Wes will ever wear
Wait,
it,
what?
but it's just cool for his collection. You have three? Are you fucking
I told
serious?
you he has more of your shit than
Dude, that's crazy. That's dope shit. What sizes do you have? You have a couple different sizes? Damn, dude. Yeah, he came in clutch with it. Yeah, dude, they sold out. That garment sold out the quickest on that whole collection. And I'm working on a new one.
I got the mystery tee because I love mystery shit. I always have to.
That's my collection with my homie Isaac in San Diego, his clothing company, Silk Cloud. So whenever I'm doing like my one-off joints, like we'll like if we're doing t-shirts and shit, like we'll just run it and we'll make them available for like a year. So like anybody, they're just like open edition. Anybody can just get them. But when I'm doing like limited edition collabs, like with Tango Hotel, like they're very limited pieces. Like that trench coat, there's only 100 of them. So
97 of them.
Well, yeah. Now I fucking know. Yeah. So there was very few of them, and they sold out quick, dude. They sold out really quick. Yeah, those were fun. And I'm working on a new collection with them right now for this winter.
What's your favorite rap piece you've done?
Rap piece?
Yeah.
Like as far as painting or like song?
Yeah, like album cover.
Oh, like my favorite cover. Fuck, dude. I mean, obviously the Pray for Paris piece really means something to me, but I think the Benoit piece where it all started is like that shit. It's crazy.
And that's still legendary.
Yeah, dude. Everybody, dude, I go to the shows and everybody's wearing it. They're either wearing the Benoit joint or they're wearing the Pray for Paris. I mean, and they have them all. They have the Heart Foundation joints. They have the Liz. They're wearing the Liz. They're wearing the Hitler joint. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, those are dope and all. But they're always wearing the Benoit piece. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. And it's funny seeing like now, like when I did the Archangel for Benny, like I see people wearing that too.
That Archangel.
Yeah. And we got a lot of ideas in the works. Yeah, we got a lot of shit that we need to work on together. Yeah.
Yeah, that Archangel, the Camino shit.
Camino was dope too. Yeah, I haven't even I need it. Camino, I need my shirt. You haven't sent me my shirt, bro. Come on now. I need to rep that shit. Yeah, that was a dope piece.
Maybe you'll find it in
fucking Second Street again. Watch, yeah, dude. Yeah, they sell out, dude. Yeah, they sell out, and then I almost forgot about the Vivian at the Art Basel piece now too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I thought Wes was gonna put the Dolph on a garment, but I don't know if he's gonna do that.
I was praying.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna do that.
But also, I understand why you wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think he will. Which it makes sense, you know. And I don't even think he'll do Prince. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
When's your next? I mean, shit. How long have we been going?
Oh, wow,
a long time. Shit, we didn't even talk about you making music.
If you want, yeah. I mean, like I said, these motherfuckers don't know that I make music too. I got a track with Benny,
and you make music,
right? And I do music too. My music I haven't like really pushed it as hard because I'm not making money on my music right now. So it's like I mean I've done features, paid features and stuff, so that's cool, but like not enough to say like, oh, like I have success because of my music. So I don't push it as often. I'm making money off my art, so I push that harder. And it's hard to convert my art fans into my music fans because they're not used to it yet, you know?
Yeah.
But dude, I've been making music since I was like 13. My stepdad
sticking with shit.
Yeah, well, I feel like once I start something, it just stays with me. It's like a badge. Like it's there always, you know. I can't get rid of it once I start it. So my stepdad came into my life when I was like 9 from Chicago. He was a rapper and a singer. Motherfucker can sing like Neo. Amazing singer. He's passed away a couple years ago, but when he came into my life, he really like inspired me to rap and like write poetry and like really like just go ham in it. And then I think I made like my first song when I was like 12 or 13, like produced it, mixed it, recorded it with one of my uncle's homies who was like doing music at the time. And then Like I was really taking it serious, and I still take it serious to this day. You know, I produce.
You have a lot of stuff going on.
I have, yeah, but like, but the thing is, like, I was producing, mixing, mastering, and engineering all my shit, and I never went to school for that shit. Like, I don't know shit about engineering. I don't know anything about EQing, and
yeah, but you didn't go to school for any of this shit.
I didn't. No, but music is a whole nother ball game. I don't have like when you have to wear that many hats. You know, by the time I'm done producing, I'm like, oh, this beat is trash by the time I get to the writing. So I'm like, I don't even want to do it anymore. So I was trying really hard to look for a producer to take that role so I could just focus on the lyrics, and then I can like co-produce if anything. So I work with my homie Matt James now, and it's funny because we come from the same parts of town in the Inland Empire, and he's done engineering for like Tiana Taylor, French Montana. Like he's legit. Like he knows. He went to school for that shit. And now he does a lot of my production, and we co-produce. You know, we sit there, we co-write together, we play out. We just bounce off each other because he's got a good like idea. Like he's got like a good idea when we're writing, when we're making music, and we'll just bounce off each other. For the most part, the bars are mine, but he'll like say he'll bounce off an idea and I'll play off of that, and then we'll go into it. So he is very much like part of the writing process too. So
how did you find your worth as an artist? Like once you were like, all right, I am going to make a living off of this. This is what.
Well, I'll tell you, I quit working at Disney last year.
So when you were at Buffalo Kids, did you still have a job?
I was technically employed, but I wasn't working because of the pandemic. But when I was like painting Benoit and like the Hitler joints and shit, I was working a 9 to 5, of course. Yeah, I've been working since I was like 16, 17.
Yeah. So you said last year is when you were able to become
last year is when I became a full-time artist. I quit in June. So this June will make it one full year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I just, you know what I realized? Well, one, I was making more than I was making at Disney in a fucking month. I sell one painting and I make more than when I make there in a single month.
What were you doing at Disney?
Animation. I was doing ink and paint animation with my dad. That was the animation I was showing you upstairs. It's the way animation was done in the 1930s. You know, A. Rashid knows about that shit. Yeah. He'll give you a whole book on that. Yeah. But yeah, I was working at Disney with my dad doing that, and then I was there for 4 years, and I just got over it. My dad's been there for almost 30 years.
Wow.
And it quickly became a job. I was over it.
Yeah.
It's not for me. You know what I'm saying?
So how did you then, when did it become that you became an artist? You didn't have to have a job.
Well, when we went into lockdown, I wasn't working. I was making money off of my art, because when Westside put out the Pray for Paris piece for me, it blew up everything for me. I probably sold like 100 paintings in 2020.
Wow. And then I can only imagine 2020.
Yeah, like last year, I probably painted about 100 paintings too.
Wow.
Including like hand embellished prints, and that's excluding like the amount of print runs and merch that I sold, tattoo money. Also during the pandemic, I became like the premier tattoo artist for all these fucking TikTok kids.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's crazy. Like I would see you post, and I wouldn't know who they were, not to be rude, but I'd be like, this person has 7.4 million followers.
Yeah, like 3 big things happened in 2020 for me. I painted a Kobe mural that landed me on ESPN.
We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, and I that got me a lot of press, and I didn't paint it for that reason. I painted it for my dad, and I painted it because no one was painting murals in the Valley. So I said, "Fuck it, dude! I'm gonna paint a portrait of Kobe in the Valley because no one's doing them here." And I grew up on Lakers, like that's my team, and Kobe is just like the fucking he's an idol for Los Angeles, not even as a basketball player, but as a person, like an entrepreneur, a philanthropist. He was about to get into producing, like movie making. He just came out with Dear Basketball, working with one of Disney's legendary animators. You know what I mean? So like Kobe was like a different type of person for me. It was beyond basketball. Like I don't even watch basketball enough to even say like I'm like a basketball head, you know?
Yeah.
So I painted the Kobe mural that blew up. I painted all the
You
shit.
didn't do it for it to blow
I
up.
didn't, dude.
So when did it? How long after you did it
like
it blow up?
like days. I painted it right around the corner because this was before I bought my house. This was at my apartment in North Hollywood, and I was good friends with the people who owned the liquor store that I painted it on. And I was like, I told them like 6 months prior that I wanted to paint a mural. I was like, give me the wall and I'll do it for free, but just give me the creative freedom. And dude was like, what if you paint a portrait of my son? And I'm like, I'm not doing that, bro. Yeah, I was like, I'm not doing that. So I didn't. So we sat on the wall for like a year.
Is son alive?
No, his son has passed away. Yeah, so I was like, I'm not doing that. But I'll
I had to add.
I was
the
like,
comedian. If he had to.
Yeah, I was like, nah, I'll paint a portrait of your son on canvas, but I'm not doing that. And like we sat on the wall for like a year, like I think it was 6 months, not a year. And then when Kobe passed away, I was like, dude, I got to do a mural of Kobe on your wall. I'm not charging you for it. Just give me the wall. Let me do it. Whatever. And yeah, and I got a little bit of funding for it too, so it was cool. And then like days later, dude, it ended up on like the newspaper, ended up on like sports news or Sportsnet, Sports Illustrated, fucking like all these different sports pages I've never even heard of that have like massive followings. Ended up on ESPN, ended up on like Lakers page, like Lakers tweeted it, like it just ended up everywhere, dude. And it was just like one of those, it's to the point where ESPN interviewed me for their ESPYs like segment.
Yeah.
That Snoop Dogg narrated. So like that's how far it went. And I had no intention of it going there. It just went there. So that happened that year. Then I did all the paintings for Westside that like blew up. Obviously the Pray for Paris painting that was most prominent. Then I did the Versace and the Liz 2 or the Liz 1. And then I did the Benny shit. I did the Archangel for Benny, and then I dropped the track with Benny, and then I was tattooing all these TikTokers.
How did the TikTok?
January 2020, right before the pandemic hit, one of my homies who was in A&R for Columbia hit me up, and he was like, hey dude, I'm working with an artist who's a TikToker, but he's jumping into music and he wants to get tattooed in the music video. Didn't know who the fuck this kid was. Turned out to be Jaden Hostler. Just hit like 1 million followers on Instagram, had like 12 million followers on like TikTok or some shit. And he wanted like the creation of Adam, the hands touching on the back of his neck. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Like, fuck it. I gave him a price and did it. Didn't know shit about this kid. Really, me and this kid hit it off. I really liked him. He thought it was cool. And dude, he put the music video out like a month or two later, and the shit got like millions of views instantly. So then I hit him up. I think it was like January, February, March, like end of March, early April, right? Like right when the pandemic started. And I was like, hey, dude, like I texted him. I was like, do you want to get tatted? He was just like, yeah, are you available today? And I was like, yeah. And I wasn't supposed to leave, but I fucking was bored as fuck. So I was the only tattoo artist tattooing during the pandemic in LA. So all those fucking kids were coming to me.
And you gave them crazy tattoos.
Dude, yeah, they were getting some gnarly tattoos. And like it shit, like I was getting like interviewed on like Inked magazine, like all these crazy shit. Like it was just crazy. So like that was a big deal in 2020 for me. I was like the TikTok tattooer. I just did a couple of album covers. I just did a song with Benny. Yeah. I just did the Kobe mural. Was doing a lot of shit. So I sold a lot of artwork that year. Yeah. Like straight up, like no gallery, no art dealers. So everything that I sold, I kept 100% of.
What's your next steps? Do you know?
Just making better work. Like I'm talking to Wes about some projects this year that I hope happens. So something that I can do. Like I haven't done a show in a couple of years. So I want to do a show in LA. So hopefully I can do a show this year.
If you do a show in LA, I'm definitely popping back up.
I think there'll be a lot of people that come. Yeah. And I want to do something dope. Like, you know, something that like people can come see the work. Like I want to do like a little, like just a really solid exhibition of work that I've developed over the last couple of years. Cause I haven't really exhibited any of this new body of work. I stopped working with all my galleries because they were just, I was like, fuck it, dude. I'm like, you guys aren't doing shit for me. Taking 50% of my art sales.
They take 50%.
50%. Yeah. Yeah. Most like your typical art gallery would take like 50%. It's rare when like a gallery is like 60-40. It's maybe like a lower tier gallery. But like mid tier and above, it's like 50-50. Some galleries take 60-40 and they're taking the 60. Yeah. Like that's like Gagosian. Like I think that's like Gagosian. Gagosian represents Cy Twombly. I think his cut is crazy, but he's also like the most important art dealer the world has ever known. He sells like $1.5 billion worth of art every year.
The art world's so crazy, and I see, like, I interviewed a good amount of artists, but like I don't know anything about. It's like the rap world. I've interviewed so many rappers, but I don't like know it. But the art world's so crazy.
A lot of people are very unfamiliar. Like people, like if you see painters on Instagram and shit, they don't really know shit about the art world. Like I call those Instagram artists because they paint, they post, and they try to like get like a basketball player to buy their shit and post their shit. I don't give a fuck about that. That shit doesn't. I'm like, pay me what I want. You know, that's it. Get me paid. Fuck a shout out. I don't want your follow. I don't want your shout out. I don't want any of that shit. I don't want your fucking tag. None of that. Pay me what I want because that's how I'm gonna feed my fucking self and my family. You know. So I've worked with galleries even before being on Instagram. I think if I got off Instagram, I think I'd be fine, like surviving, because I have collectors that exist in real time, in real life, collectors that hit me up via text and via email that pay attention to like where my work is in galleries. And I exhibit in many galleries, like in LA, and I have a lot of collectors overseas now too. So I don't really know if like Instagram is like that like it definitely plays a role. It's important to me. It's helped me a lot, but I don't rely on Instagram. I'm not going to like weep and cry if that shit disappeared tomorrow. Yeah. Like I'm still going to figure it the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, so it's cool. Like it definitely has given me a platform to like exhibit my work. And without Instagram, in Westside would have never found me. So it'd be very dumb for me to say like, it doesn't mean shit, but I just don't rely on it. It's like, okay, I think I'm at a point where I don't have to rely on it. Maybe that's probably where I'm at. So,
when are you thinking of doing your gallery?
Well, if I do a show, I want to do it, you know, sometime later this year. Just build a solid body of work that I can share. And then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But what I have planned for it, if all is well and it all goes through, then I think it'll be really fucking dope. Yeah, I'll put, you know, I'll announce it and I'll put it out there. Everybody will know. Y'all will get the invite. You know what I mean? Like, of course.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for the hospitality. Sorry, I just keep looking around at all your pieces, man.
It's
beautiful.
Fun. I tell people when they come, I'm like, it's like a little art gallery. So prepare to look at a bunch of shit, you know?
But congratulations. You are an inspiration to a lot. And I hope people hear this and hear what you did and can take that and use that.
I hope so too. I think if at the end of the day, if I can provide some sort of insight for an aspiring artist, and that's at the end of the day, then that's cool. That's enough for me. I mean, what else? I mean, it'd be selfish of me to like not want to inspire other people when I was once inspired.
Yeah, how Shepard Fairey, like how you felt when he bought your, like there's
I'm sure there'll be a time. Oh, maybe there'll be a time where like I buy someone's work and they.
Do you have a favorite artist right now?
Like a peer, painter. I mean, there's a lot of artists that I think are a great artists. You know, I have a lot of close friends. One of my close friends is Skylar Gray, who's a little younger than myself. He's a great pop artist, contemporary artist. Delphin Finley is a fucking amazing figurative painter. I always say that I think me and Delphin are the best that do this shit at our age. I think he's like 26, 27. We're probably the best figure painters that are painting figuratively. I mean, I'll put myself in that category with him. I won't say I'm the best, but he's up there for sure. He's amazing. He's like up there with like Kehinde Wiley and shit. Like he can paint his ass off. But fuck, dude. There's so many artists that I enjoy looking at their work and I want to collect, but I don't know if I have a favorite. They're all so different. You know what I mean? They all give me different feelings. Like honestly, like I think I'm feeling my shit the most right now.
Yeah, because you do
Like-
have mostly your art.
Yeah, like I feel I think I like my shit the most right now because it's like what I'm paying attention to. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds very like, you know, egotistical and maybe a little fucking pretentious or, you know, cocky, but I think my shit is fire right now. So it's like I'm focused on that. I don't really like, I don't know. I there's a lot of artists that are great. They're amazing. There's so many. And I'm competing with them. But at the same time I'm not. I'm competing with me. So
and that's why it works.
Exactly. Yeah.
And thank you for doing this for real.
Thank you for having me. I gotta bust some out before we end this though.
Holy shit.
Gotta keep the conversation going.
I have
money.
give this.
Let's see.
Nah, this I mean you have created so many. You don't need to rush. We can also edit this a little bit. It's
Oh, it's not about rushing. I just got
you can do a fucking thing on hot sauce on a plate. Europe was the. Would you ever go to Asia?
Oh yeah, I want to go to Asia. So
I want to go to like Southeast Asia, like Thailand and Vietnam and
my homegirl that I'm talking to right now is part Thai, and I told her I want to go to Thailand really bad. I want to go to Africa.
yeah. And we're trying. AA wants to do a trip to Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, Puerto Rico would be sick. Yeah, I know. Fucking Westside is always in Puerto Rico.
I've never been. I have so many friends. I mean, you buy like Shamil. Shamil's parents live down there right now.
Yeah, I want to definitely be down to go to Puerto Rico. I'm going to Peru soon.
Oh, what are you doing in Peru?
Just family trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was art art
I'll
trip.
probably get some inspiration while I'm out there, but you know.
Were you just down in Phoenix?
Yeah, well, I went down there to drop off some shit for Wes.
Oh, word.
Yeah, I was dropping off some.
How do you fly your paintings?
How do I fly?
Your paintings.
Well, I drove there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's easier to drive, and then we can we have our own whip and shit. So
How far of a drive is it?
it's like a 6-hour drive.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not like crazy, but I have my homie with me to make him drive, so it's all great.
You know, Kat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kat was was saying we had to go to Phoenix. I want to go down there and see all the art.
Dude, yeah, Phoenix is dope. Yeah, I would definitely say trip out there for sure.
Other thing, the Buffalo Kids store was I think that's where I met you for the first time, just in passing. But
Right,
I couldn't believe how many people were there. Like,
There was a gang of fucking people for sure. Absolutely.
did you get something signed? What'd you get signed?
I got the very second this painting that left his store. He kept the first one of every one, and I got the very second.
Who signed it?
You signed it.
I signed it? Did I really?
I had it signed, but then I had you sign it right after the store.
Damn, that's what's up, dude. Yeah, that was man, there were so many people that day. It's so hard to keep track of what was going on.
I
Like-
bet.
Like,
No, I couldn't imagine. I didn't think there were going to be that many people when I when I went. Like, I didn't think there was going to be like a 9-hour wait for shit. Like, it was dope. It was cool. That's when I realized shit was different.